What's up everyone, I am Tim Oates on bass, and in this video I've got 5 tips for musicians that are starting to think about gigging after quarantine. Alright, the lockdown has been tough on everyone, and while states are starting to reopening, there's still a lot of uncertainty as to when bands are going to be able to start playing again. Depending on where you're at, there might be some venues that have already started opening up, bands are able to start getting out there. In other places, it's not even a thought yet. But at some point, things are going to open up again, and you may as well be prepared. Now, before I jump into the 5 tips, one thing that you have to make sure that you do is really assess how comfortable you are with the idea of gigging. Everyone's in a different situation, has different health issues already, or different family members that may be more susceptible to the coronavirus, or even different economic impacts from the shutdown itself. All of these things are factors, and you have to assess that for yourself to determine if gigging is something that you want to do, would like to do, but not right now, or in some cases you have to do because it's your job and you're making money full time, but you haven't worked in a while. All of these things are important. And additionally, if you're playing with a band, everyone in the band should get together and have a very honest conversation of where everyone is and how the band wants to move forward. If you've determined that you are ready to start thinking about gigging, but you want to make sure you're doing it in a way that's responsible and safe, that's when these tips come into play. So the first one is talk to the venue before you even book the show. What are they doing? What steps are they taking to protect their employees, the artists, fans? Are they changing the capacity of the venue? Well, what does that look like? Does it impact artist pay? Also, if you're unfamiliar with the venue, what's the layout like? What is the load-in path? Are you coming in through a separate door to load your gear to and from the stage, or do you have to go all the way through the venue, through the crowd? Those are important questions to ask when you're trying to think about social distancing in venues that honestly aren't really set up for that sort of thing. Don't be shy about asking these questions. Make sure that you feel comfortable before you book the show. If you don't, then don't take the gig. Instead, call around to other places and try to find a venue that matches more with what you would expect from a venue. Alright, the second tip is try to minimize the gear you're bringing to shows. Traditionally, musicians do bring quite a bit of gear, and that's for good reasons. Any and everything can happen at a show, and the last thing you want is to not have that spare guitar, not have just an additional couple of cables. I've seen all sorts of things happen at live shows, so it makes sense that you always want to be prepared. Do you bring multiple guitars with different tunings because of the way your set's lined up? Why not build a set around a single tuning so you don't have to bring the extra guitars? Do you really need that half stack, or could you get by with the combo amp? I'm not saying this is going to be a permanent thing, but if you're just reintegrating and you're trying to test the waters of what that looks like, maybe you want to start out with the combo amp. In most situations, they're miking or pulling DI anyway, and quite frankly, as long as it's got a strong enough signal to just push through to the board, it doesn't matter how big or loud it is at that point. Sound engineer just needs a strong enough signal. And for drummers, have you thought about scaling back your kit? Do you need 2 bass drums, or could you just use double pedals? Do you need 4 or 5 toms, or could you pull it back to a 5-piece? And cymbals, same thing. Do you have some cymbals that you rarely use but you like to have just in case? Well, maybe leave those at home. All of those things result in fewer trips on and off the stage, and let's be honest, changeover can be kind of stressful anyway. You've got one band loading, another band unloading, sound engineer running around trying to move all the mics and cables. If you can minimize all of those things, it just helps you get to a more comfortable spot. Alright, the next tip I honestly could have included in the previous one about minimizing gear, but this one is actually so important I wanted to call it out separately. And I think you should be doing this anyway. Bring your own microphones. Mia, say it again for the people in the back. Bring your own microphone. Look, I know that there are some venues out there and there are some sound engineers and owners that really take their time and make sure that they disinfect everything and their microphones are pristine. Those are not the people I'm worried about. We've all played those clubs when you look at the house mic and you're like, oh, this is the grossest thing ever. And again, the sound engineers that are doing the right thing and they're making sure that they're cleaning their stuff, hey, kudos to you. but you know who I'm talking about. You know. No sound engineer, no club owner is going to be offended if you bring your own microphones. It happens all the time. I've played shows where every single band was swapping out the house mic for their own, mine included. If you're not doing this, this should be something you do, pandemic or not. All right, next. Have you thought about merch? That's something that's really important for a lot of bands. Oftentimes your merch sales are going to get you more money than the actual pay of the gig. This is not uncommon at all. But that's a lot of interaction. It's a lot of cash moving back and forth, a lot of close talking in a loud club, things like that. Might be a different way to go about doing it. Do you have an online presence? Do you have that Square account? Now might be the time to consider getting it with the little reader, or people can just order ahead of time through your online store that you get with the Square account, and then all you have to worry about is getting them their merch. Also, if you do this, you can start to just sell stuff outside of gigs, right? You promote your stuff on social media, you make sure that your name's constantly out there, you don't want your fans to forget about you. Put some links out there, they stumble upon your online store, they buy something, and then you ship it or you meet up with them, tell them thank you. It's great. It's a way to keep some money flowing even when there's not gigs going on, and also to keep your name out there and to remind people that you're around and that they do like your music. Now, I know I've said Square a couple times. That's just who we use. It's what I'm familiar with. Not sponsored or anything. So look into all of the vendors out there, but they're all kind of the same. They give you a free little reader. They have an online presence that they'll help with like inventory control. They take a little bit off the top. It's usually 3 to 4%. It's all kind of the same model. Pick whichever one works for you. The last tip. Let your fans know what precautions you and the venue are taking. Are they going to see you running around with a mask on when you're not on stage? Or are you going to be kind of ducking and not even hanging out much when normally you'd be out in the crowd just meeting and greeting everyone? Show them your appreciation in advance, but let them know, hey, this is what you can expect. Do you normally have an elaborate stage show that you're going to leave at home? Tell them, hey, look for a more raw and stripped down performance. Most of your fans are going to completely understand given the situation, and they're still going to be happy to support you, and they'll still be there with a smile on their face, but maybe that smile will be under their mask. Who knows? All right, so those are my 5 tips for gigging post quarantine. Do you have any other ideas? Have you thought about other things? Drop a comment. Let me know. I'm actually very curious because I'm in 2 bands and we're starting to have those conversations of what does gigging past quarantine look like? These are some things that I've come up with, but what are you thinking about? What else is on your mind when it comes to life after COVID? If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, make sure to do that. Also, ring the little bell. That's how you get notified when I put out new videos just like this one. You stay safe while gigging, keep making beautiful music, and I will see you in the next video.